make sure all our connections are going well. We're sending data to YouTube, Facebook, and X. X is live. X informed us that they may have intermittent problems. So if that happens, we will post a link on Facebook to the YouTube channel. We are now showing good on Facebook and also on YouTube. So we are ready to go. Hey, we've got the ChathamNC Sports Roundup with Asheebo Rojas of the Chatham News and Record, myself, Gene Galin, the Chatham Journal. Here's the quick agenda. A lot going on in indoor track and field. Asheebo will let you know what's going on there. High school wrestling, again, a lot has gone on this week because a lot of things got snowed or iced over the last couple of weeks. Then we'll talk about basketball, what's going on with that, Powerball. Basketball power rankings, and then we'll talk about sports seasons. We got some new sports seasons ready to start, and of course, we're wrapping those up as well. And of course, we need to know what stories he has in this week's Chatham News and Record that comes out every Thursday. Definitely worth picking up for that. And then everyone's favorite, Asheebo's Athlete of the Week. By the way, we're still looking if you want to be a sponsor of the ChathamNC Sports Roundup. Let us know, and we will get you on here. All right. Let me get rid of that, and we will talk about – let's start off with track and field. What's been going on? A lot's been going on with track and field. Let folks know how Chatham County teams have done.
Yeah, so we had some rounds of our indoor track and field state championships this week. Had some state champions come out of the meet yesterday in 1A and 3A. So starting in 1A, we had Taurus Price from Chatham Charter. He became his school's first state champion by winning the boys 1,000-meter run, and the boys 1,600-meter run. And the 1,000-meter ran 2 minutes, 39.77 seconds. And the 1,600, 4 minutes and 26.62 seconds. So he helped this team finish sixth in the team scores at the end there. So, and we talked about Taurus, I think, a lot in the past couple of years, right, with outdoor track. Last year in indoor as well, cross country as well. He's been our athlete of the week. So finally got a state championship under his belt, and congrats to him and Chatham Charter. And then also in 3A, we had a lot of state champions on the boys' side. The boys finished as state runner-ups, and that's thanks to Ezra Roebuck. He won the state championship for the boys 300-meter dash with a time of 34.42 seconds. And then Ben Altenberg, multiple state championships for him. He did a lot of the heavy lifting for the team. He won in the boys 55-meter hurdles with a time of 7.77 seconds and boys pole vault with a mark of 16 feet. And then he was also part of the Northwood boys 4x400 relay team that won the state championship as well, but also Taquan Moore, Juan Sanchez, and Ezra Roebuck as well. So, yeah, the boys put some work in last night at Northwood. Like we said, finished as state runner-ups, and we'll have 5A next week, 4A and 5A next week. 4A is actually tonight. 4A is tonight, this afternoon, and 5A is next week on February 18th. That will be that Wednesday afternoon. So we'll still have more state champions, or we'll see maybe some other athletes that can win state championships as well in indoor track over the next 2 weeks.
All right, as we said, a lot went on in track and field this past week, but also moving on, we've got a bunch that went on in wrestling. Some of it not good news, some of them good news. So let the folks know what's going on in Chatham County wrestling.
Yeah, so last night wrestling, we had our first and second rounds of the dual team playoffs. Starting in 1A, we had Chatham Central going to Northeast Carolina Prep, the second seed there, and they won their first round matchup against News Charter 59-18, but they fell to the host Northeast Carolina Prep 70-11 in the second round. And then over in 3A, Northwood went up against Heidi Trask, the 9th seed there, and lost that one in a close one, 42-39. And then in 5A, we had number 2 Person going up against number 7 Seaford. Seaford fell in that one, 46-34 in the second round. So all of our dual team wrestling teams that made the playoffs were eliminated last night. But we had wrestling regionals for girls 1A through 4A on the east side happening last night as well. And in that one, Jordan Matthews sent 2 wrestlers to state. So Alexandra Zumano Garcia, she finished first in the 114-pound tournament. And then Mariah Spruill, she finished second in the 145-pound bracket as well. So high finishes for them. We'll see if they can continue that and maybe compete for some state championships later on in the month.
All right, so that's your wrap up of what's going on in wrestling. All right, basketball started getting after a week and a half of snow delays. Asheebo and I were talking about this early on. It looks like there will not be a second game between Northwood and Seaforth at Seaforth because they got to get in their conference games, and also you got conference tournaments coming up. But Asheebo, why don't you give folks a rundown of what's going on? Good news for Seaforth. We also got something special going on in Northwood tonight. So give folks a rundown of what's going on in Chatham County High School basketball.
Yeah, so just a rundown of the score. Starting on the boys' side, we had Northwood 2 wins this week, just continuing to stack wins here in conference play. 70-51 over URA Charter earlier in that week, and that one Cam Fowler had 27 points and 9 rebounds. And then Josiah Brown came in with 24 points, including 5 made threes in that one. And then Northwood got Southwestern Randolph by 50 points, 81-31 last night. That one clinched the outright title for Northwood, their 7th straight. Once again, been undefeated, I think, in conference that this whole time. There's a lot of wins in a row in conference play, but they'll be against URA Charter tonight at 8 p.m. Of course, before that game, Drake Powell, you guys remember the standout forward and guard at Northwood for 4 years. He's now playing for the Brooklyn Nets. He's going to get his jersey retired at before that game. It's going to be hung in the rafters, kind of like Carolina is what I was described it was going to be like. So it'll be cool to see him back. I think for the All-Star break, he's here and get honored in front of a lot of people in the Pittsburgh community. So if you guys haven't already got a ticket for that, I think you can go on GoFan and get a spot. You should. It's going to fill up. It's going to fill up fast. It's going to be packed, and it's going to be hard to get a seat if you haven't done that already. So, and I will be there tonight. So hopefully I'll see everyone as well. But going on into other scores in the county this week, we had Seaforth going up against South Granville, big conference game for them. They won that one 57-52 behind Declan Lindquist getting 18 points and Campbell Metter leading the way with 20 points there. That one clinched Seaforth's 2nd conference title in program history. And then they're going to wrap up their regular season at home against Orange at 8 p.m. tonight. And then Jordan Matthews got a win over Eastern Randolph earlier in the week, 71-60. But they followed that with a 62-51 loss to URA Charter. So Jordan Matthews is going to be at Southwestern Randolph tonight at 7:30. Chatham Central, 2 big wins for them, 73-37 over South Davidson. And then against College Prep and Leadership, the Bears won that one 82-42. That's their 5th straight win, and they're going to see if they can get their 6th straight at Bishop McGinnis tonight at 8 p.m. And also down in 1A with Woods Charter, they got a 60-50 win over Clever Garden School this week. That one, Levi Haygood, 17 points, 7 rebounds. And then they're going to be against at home Southern Wake Academy, Friday at 7:30 p.m. So that's going to be a big one, a tough game. Southern Wake really got a hold over the Central Tar Heel 1A conference because Chatham Charter faced them this week as well. Southern Wake got the best of them 67-39. And Chatham Charter 2nd place in the conference, Woods 3rd place in the conference. Southern Wake kind of running away with it now. I think they might have clinched it. I haven't really checked to see, but they haven't been beaten yet in conference play. But Chatham Charter followed that with a 65-30 win over River Mill. And in that one, Ryder Murphy, the sophomore, 16 points to lead the way. And so Chatham Charter is going to be at home against Ascend Leadership tonight at 7:30.
All right, there's a lot going on there. And then last week, do you want to talk about the 51 points later? Or do you want to touch on it now?
You know, we can touch on it. We can touch on it a little bit, but I know we're going to talk about it much later. But yeah, of course, like we said, Cam Fowler, 27 points in that game against URA Charter. He's been on a scoring tear. And then last week, the big one, right? 51 points in that game. And I think it was 11 threes he knocked down in that one.
It was actually 10 threes.
It was 10. I think.
Yeah.
Because I saw 11 on Max Preps and on the stat sheet
Well,
that Brown posted.
then
It might
that
have been
may be
11.
correct. On my
Yeah.
sheet, it was 10, but it's possible I missed one. So, oh yeah. Speaking of which, Drake Powell is going to have his jersey retired tonight. Did talk to the regular sheriff's deputy that's on duty at the games. They're bringing in a couple of extra sheriff's deputies. Not that they're expecting any problems. It's just you're going to have that place will be packed. So just as Asheebo mentioned, you need to go on to GoFans. If it's not sold out already, it will be sold out by the time the game starts. It's going to be before the games, boys game, and the boys game I think is scheduled to start at 8 o'clock. So they'll start at the ceremony at 8, and then the boys game will be after that. So it's going to be nice to see a hometown student athlete back to get his jersey retired. And as Asheebo mentioned, he will be there. Also, just want to add on that, if you haven't seen it, Pat Welder did a documentary last couple years ago called The Prince of Pittsburgh. That's about Drake, and it's I'll put a post on that or link to it, so it's worth watching. All right, that wraps it up for that portion of it. Power rankings. Before we start, we talked about it. Have your power rankings changed any for the boys and girls, or is it pretty much the same?
Pretty much the same for both boys and girls. I think we've gotten to that point right at the end of the season, like we say all the time, where we kind of know what teams are now and where they stand as far as relative to each other in the county and relative to other teams in their own conference. So, not much has changed in the power rankings. Once again, for the boys, Woods Charter at 6, Chatham Charter at 5, Jordan Matthews at 4, Chatham Central at 3, Seaforth at 2, and Northwood at 1. We had a possibility of maybe some changing around with the Chatham Charter and Woods Charter game. PJ and I were at that game last week at Woods Charter. It was a great game, instant classic, double overtime, and a lot of drama at the end of those periods. But some hard fought rivalry basketball we saw there. Chatham Charter pulled out the win with some clutch buckets from Ryder Murphy, who basically, when we look at the core of that team with Kamani Wagner-Jada and Braylon Harris, they fouled out in the overtime periods, I think in the first and second ones. So by the middle of the second one, it was just Ryder Murphy, part of that core group of guys that they looked to score. And he really put the team on his back there at the end. And like we said, got some clutch buckets to win that one. But yeah, those are our power rankings for the week of February 2nd. Of course, that's always the week before. And then looking at our playoff picture, once again, with the help of our guys at High School OT, as of Monday, that's their latest update with their playoff projections. Just looking at the seeding as of now, looking at 1A West, we have Chatham Charter as a 2 seed, Chatham Central as a 5 seed, and Woods Charter as a 6 seed. So they're looking to all still be in position to get a bye in the 1A West region. And then over in 3A East, Northwood, a 6 seed. Like we said, a really deep eastern region in 3A. So it'll be interesting to see how they fare if that's how it falls out to be. And then in 4A East, Jordan Matthews, they're going to look at that 13 seed as of now, still hosting for Jordan Matthews. So they'll get look to get a home game in that first one. And then in 5A East, Seaforth, 14 seed, once again, also hosting for that first round as of now. So, yeah, it's looking like there's going to be plenty of options for that first and second round to go watch some playoff basketball, hopefully, when those get started on February 24th for the first round. So, Gina, you ready?
Yeah, I was going to say that's coming up real soon. So, and we got, like Asheebo said, we got games tonight. So we'll see how things work out on the playoffs, and hopefully we will get to see several games locally. I know when Cam hit his 51 points last week, he said one of the things he wanted to see is he wanted to get to the championship game. So we'll see if Northwood's able to do that. We'll probably talk more about that next week as well, because Asheebo does a great job figuring out all this stuff and giving you. He may even make predictions as to how he thinks things are going to go over the first and second round. All right, I think, do we want to, is there any other sports that we need to cover before we talk about what you have coming up in today's Chatham News and Record?
Oh, we got to go through girls basketball.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
There you
scores
go.
part
All
records for
right.
that. Yeah, so a lot of things happening in girls basketball as well. So starting with C4, 63-36 win over South Granville. Big payback win because South Granville won the last meeting. That was C4's only conference loss all the way up to this point. And in that one, Katie Leonard, another 30-point game, 33 points, 9 rebounds in that one. Against JF Webb on Friday, PJ and I were there as well. We saw her drop her career high of 36 in that one. So she's continuing to blaze the scoring sheet this season. And then, of course, they have a conference championship tonight against Orange at 6:45. Big one. If you guys want to see some playoff level basketball, both teams coming into this one conference loss. Last conference game of the season. C4 won the last meeting by 4. So it'll be really interesting. Of course, it'll be a close game, I imagine. But the way C4 is playing, it looks like they're hitting their stride. It could be a big win for them as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But Northwood, they got a 56-39 win over URE Charter, led by Leah Roberts in that one with 20 points, and then Shayla Glover came in and gave 12 points and 18 rebounds in that one. And then, of course, the Chargers followed that one up with a 60-35 win over Southwestern Randolph. And in that one, Nia Henry had 17 points and 9 rebounds. And, of course, like I said, they can clinch the conference title tonight with a win versus UCA. That game's going to be at 6:30 prior to Drake Powell's jersey retirement. Eastern Randolph got the best of Jordan Matthews this week, 36-31. And then Jordan Matthews also fell to URE Charter 68-16. They're going to be at Southwestern Randolph tonight at 6 p.m. Chatham Central, they got a 55-8 win over South Davidson. Big win, dominant defensively for them. And Ansley Pressler was the star of that game. 14 points, 11 steals, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and a block for her in that one. And then follow that one up, though, Chatham Central fell to College Prep and Leadership 57-34. And they're going to try to bounce back against a really tough opponent tonight at Bishop McGuinness at 6:30. And then further down to 1A with Woods Charter, Clever Garden School got the best of the Wolves there, 59-22. Lot wider margin of victory for Clever Garden in that second game compared to that first game. If you guys remember, that was the one where Wesley Oliver scored her 1,000-point, but Woods Charter was battling all the way up to the end in that one, but this one just got away from them. But they followed that one with a 48-26 win over Ascend Leadership, and Woods Charter is going to be hosting Southern Wake Academy Friday at 6 p.m. And then Chatham Charter, for them, 38-22 win over Southern Wake Academy. Peyton York led the way with 13 points and 7 rebounds. And then they followed that with a 33-13 win over River Mill. York once again led the way with 10 points. And then they're hosting Ascend Leadership tonight at 6 p.m. There's a potential possibility that they can maybe have a shot at sharing a conference title if at Clever Garden School on Saturday at 3:30. But I think they need some other things to happen in the conference as well to get to that point. But just to give same thing, right? Power rankings haven't really changed since the last week. So as of the week of February 2nd, Jordan Matthews 6, Woods Charter 5, Chatham Charter 4, Chatham Central 3, Northwood 2, and Seaforth 1. And then right before that classic boys game we got with Chatham and Woods Charter. Before that, Chatham Charter's girls once again got the best of Woods Charter, even though Woods Charter made a run to make it interesting in that second half there. But Chatham Charter swept the Wolves this season in the regular season, so they're going to get the nod over Woods in the power rankings. And then once again, looking at our playoff projections, this is from High School OT. Looking at 1A East as of February 9th, Woods Charter looking at that 13 seed. And then over in 1A West, Chatham Charter is looking at 13 and Chatham Central is looking at 14. And then in 3A East, Northwood is looking at getting that 4 seed and getting the bye there. And then over in 4A East, Jordan Matthews, right now they're the first team out of the playoffs as they're 49th in the RPI. So it's going to be big for them in these last few conference games to see if they can get a win and maybe move up a spot just to kind of sneak in the playoffs there. But 5A East, Seaforth, like we said, on a roll since that stretch where they had 2 straight conference losses, haven't lost since, and they're looking at that 6th seed in the 5A East region. So that's our wrap of basketball. Like you said, there's been a lot going on with winter sports, but especially basketball, as the teams are trying to finish out conference play, kind of trying to catch up from the weather delays of last week. And now we're finally getting to the end. I think some teams still have about 2 or 3 more games left that might spill over into early next week. And of course, this weekend. But yeah, we'll have a clearer view of the playoff picture once we get out of that. And the conference tournaments get done next week, and then they'll seed for basketball at the end of next week.
So it sounds like, based upon what you were telling folks, that JM's got out of all the schools, JM's got the 2 most important games coming up in order to make sure they make it to the state playoffs. Is that about right?
Yes, right there on the edge. Like we said, at 49th in RPI, of course, the top 48 get into the playoffs. They have 3 games left. So Southwestern Randolph tonight, Eastern Randolph tomorrow, and then Northmore on the 16th.
All right. So there's 3 games that they have an opportunity. We'll see what happens with that. And again, next Thursday, Asheebo will update you because the picture will become a lot clearer. All right. So Asheebo, what do you have coming up in the newspaper today?
Yeah, in the newspaper today, is from Seaforth versus Webb last Friday. That was a big win for the boys, too. That was a really good game as well. PJ and I were there for that one. Came down to the end. Declan Lindquist, Campbell Metter, they got hot in that 4th quarter. At the end, into that quarter down 7, made a big run to come back and won that one 52-51. And that really put them in position to be able to clinch the conference title in that win over South Granville earlier this week. And then also, too, we have our story from Chatham Charter and Woods Charter. You can read about the craziness at the end of the boys' game that went into double overtime. And then we have our winter sports roundup, of course, with a lot of our basketball updates and conference standings in there as well. We have some signees from around the county, some athletes signing to their college programs, a lot of them at Seaforth. And then also we had Jace Young at Chatham Charter for baseball signing to Guilford. So you can read about those athletes that signed. And also we have some locals taking the field for the college baseball and softball season. So keeping up with some of the locals, giving an idea of where our local college athletes will be on the diamond this year. And if you guys read it, and if I missed anyone, please let me know, because I like to make sure we have all of them included. And when I do a check-in later in the college baseball and softball season, I like to have as many people as we can. I tried my best with looking up old rosters, seeing where kids were, and looking their names up and going by there, seeing if they're still on college rosters. So got quite a few for baseball and softball. Big news, if you guys remember Jaylee Williams from Chatham Central softball, she transferred to Maryland after spending her first few seasons at App State. So we'll see a local athlete playing some Division I softball alongside Logan Gunter, of course, from Jordan Matthews, who's going to return from a knee injury this season. So pretty exciting to see where our local athletes are this year.
Yeah, you do a real nice job on that, letting folks know where student athletes from Chatham County land up and how they're doing out there. So I know, had a dad tell me a few weeks ago that earlier on you had mentioned that he appreciated the fact that you're still keeping an eye on the Chatham County kids that are out there playing sports on the college level. You got anything else that's in the paper, or are we ready for everybody's favorite?
I do want to mention, too, I know on the agenda we had mentioned just some other sports wrapping up. Swimming championships for 5A at the Pullen Aquatic Center in Raleigh that are actually going on today. I think they started at noon. So they're going on right now. Of course, those are our Seaforth athletes. So we may have some more state champions in there as well. And then 1A through 3A will be tomorrow at the Casey Aquatic Center in Raleigh starting at 8:15 p.m. So I just want to update you guys on that. If you guys are interested in going to check out the swimmers and divers and seeing if we have any state champions there. But yeah, now we're ready for Athlete of the Week. Talking about the biggest news of last week, probably the biggest thing that happened, a historic night. And it's rare that we give athlete of the week to the same athlete twice in the same year, especially twice in just about the same month, because I think Cam was our athlete of the week earlier in January. But it is Cam Fowler, like we said, once again, had to give it to him. 51 point, 10 rebound performance in Northwood's 130-23 win over Northmore on Friday. That's, of course, a new school record for the most points in a game, and he made a school record 11 threes in the process of that. And then also, if you want to look at the record on the state level, his 51 points are the 52nd most scored in a game, tied with numerous athletes that have reached that mark over in North Carolina history. And that's in boys basketball history, of course. And he tied Jordan Matthews, Jerry Webster, actually. So we had another Chatham County connection there. Jerry Webster scored 51 points against Pittsboro High School back in 1957. And those are the most points scored by a Chatham County player. So interesting there. We have a Chatham County connection between the two rivals, right? Northwood and Jordan Matthews. Now, of course, that was Pittsboro back in 1957, but looks like a Pittsboro area athlete, you could say, got the lick back there and tied Webster with 51 points. So, like we say, Cam Fowler has been just an elite scorer all season. I think he's well over 20. I want to say he's at 22 points per game now. Last time I checked, after the 51 points as well. So he surpassed his average from last year. Of course, with his last week of the regular season, is looking to lead his team to another deep run in the state playoffs. Remember talking to him and those players over in the summer. State championship has been on the mind for this team. So we'll see if Cam Fowler and that group of seniors can lead the way this season.
Yeah, Cam had a really nice game the other night as well. The thing is, they got into the running clock third and fourth quarter, so Coach Brown put in a bunch of substitute players. The other thing interesting about the game earlier this week was Chad did not play in that game. He was in street clothes sitting on the bench, so we'll see if he's back in today. I don't know how serious, and I didn't bother asking him why he was out. So we will find out about that tonight. But anyway, congratulations to Cam on doing as well as he can. We'll see how he does tonight. As I mentioned earlier, he did mention when he hit his 51 points that game that he did want to see the team go to the championship game this year. So we'll see what happens. All right. So you and I are going to be at the game tonight, at the Northwood game tonight. I know there's other games going on, but the big unveiling of Drake's jersey retirement is going to be the top thing happening tonight. You have any ideas yet for next week, or are we just waiting to see how everything happens over the next couple of days?
Yeah, so I know I'll be out until Tuesday, so I'll be back Wednesday.
Okay.
Of course, I'll catch up. And we'll see what's going on there. I think we'll probably be in the middle of conference tournaments for basketball at that point. Also, we have middle school basketball championships. We're pushed back to next Friday, the 20th, which I've heard could be, well, I think it's still on to be at Northwood, but it could be moved to C4 due to conference tournaments as well for high school. So, like I said, we'll keep you guys updated on that once we get a final word on the details for those championships. But yeah, that's pretty much all I know for now. And you guys see me out there whenever I get back next week. Like I always say, don't hesitate to say hello. We thank you all for the support, continuous support with reading the paper, as well as watching our weekly show covering these Chatham County athletes. And we're going to talk about baseball and softball pretty soon, probably next week, because the season starts the week after that. So
yep.
We're going to get into some spring sports later this month as well. So things are really about to pick up, get busy as we finish out basketball season and the rest of winter sports, and then kick up with baseball, softball, girls soccer, lacrosse, and things like that.
Yeah, actually, Carolina baseball starts their first game on the 13th, which is tomorrow. Reminder, Coach Scott Forbes lives in Chatham County. I know the folks in Lee County don't want to hear about that. They will remind you that he's originally from Lee County. But who knows, maybe I don't think we can get him here on a live stream, but maybe we can get Asheebo can get a story on it, and we can get a video conference going with the coach, because he's pretty active here in the community. You can see him at a lot of Seaforth games because his daughter plays volleyball at Seaforth. So we'll see about that. And again, just a reminder, follow Asheebo and Asheebo R38. He will be at the game tonight, so you should see some stuff out on that as well. Boys games at 8 o'clock. Girls game, I think you said, starts at 6:30. And we'll have pictures, we'll have videos, and hopefully we'll have something from Asheebo on X about Drake and his ceremony. All right, folks, thank you so much for watching. Definitely come back next Thursday, because as I said, Asheebo is going to have a bunch of information as to what's going to happen with the playoff situation, and we'll get into spring sports and talk about what's going there as well. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you next Thursday. Asheebo, you got anything else to finish up with?
Nope. Once again, thank y'all for watching. Like I said, see y'all next week. And yeah, we're excited for, of course, playoffs for basketball. Like I said, winter sports. And then we're going to get you guys caught up with what's happening in baseball and softball as we start that season.
All right, folks, we'll see you next Thursday. Thank you very much.